Was this something that happened throughout your life? Because I heard from another author that she was telling her sister stories at night while they were growing up.
This might be a longish response, but I got into such trouble at school writing stories. I was educated in the 50s and 60s when education was considerably more rigid than it is today. And the teacher came round and took my book off me and read what I'd written so far and was absolutely incensed by my use of slang terms. And then I got to secondary school and I was commanded to enter the school poetry competition. And I wrote about cannibalism, and she was not best pleased. And I got my book back with a great red line. In fact, the pen had gone through the page and the words "see me" snarled across the bottom. I was in detention just about for the rest of the term.
I
From that point, I really stopped writing because it got you into such trouble. And then when I got into local government, I tried to enliven my memos a little bit because this was pre-computer. So I put in little jokes and puns in the memos, and that didn't go down at all well either. So until I actually retired, I had no thought of writing anything at all because it got you into such trouble. I suppose I was lucky the educational psychologist wasn't visiting that week.
were you pro or con for cannibalism?
Oh, it was a wonderful piece describing not only the cannibal village, but the cooking process. I can still remember bits of it. With hindsight, it probably wasn't the best subject.
But what about telling stories? I mean, just orally, passing on things to friends or joking around with friends.
Well, I was never given to understand that the stories that I was telling or thinking were particularly acceptable. Um, in those days, this sounds terrible, but it was very much what I did in my holidays style of essay writing. There wasn't a lot of flexibility, especially if you were at an all-girls school. You know, there were subjects that definitely should and should not be mentioned. And of course, you know what kids are like. You've only got to tell them that there's nothing they mustn't talk about, and they don't shut up for 3 days, do they?
That's true.
Before anybody feels too sorry for me, I do suspect I was a bit of a troublemaker. Apparently, there are leaders, which are good things, and there are ringleaders, which are not.